Welcome in everybody to episode 15 of my Pro Unreal Engine tutorial series here on YouTube. Today, we're going to get into making our crouch animations. And this was originally supposed to be one video, but it was well over an hour, so I split it into two. And in part one, we're going to be first auditing Perforce, then we're going to get into making some animations in Blender, and retargeting some animations in Engine. Alright, so make that task, crouch blend space, and as you can see, everything in there is what I talked about, so just copy down that description. And don't worry about the sync markers and all that, I'll explain that more next time. But yeah, then we want to put this under art and that player character epic, and we should be good to go. But yeah, this is a very tedious process, and I have to say, this is probably my least favorite part of game development, doing all the art stuff. And I guess that's why I'm not an artist by trade, I'm an engineer. Alright, so we'll move that into the board, go to the player character, and I keep forgetting to put this into in progress, so we finally did that, so that's good. And now we can go into our board and move that into in progress. And we don't have this on the task, but it's good to do every once in a while. We're just going to do a quick audit of Perforce. So to do that, we're going to go to the Workspace tab, and the things that I'm concerned with are in the actual Hide, Seek, Survive project file. And basically, we want to just make sure that everything has that little green plus next to it. So just go folder by folder like I'm doing here. And you see how these have the little green plus? That means they've been added. And if they don't have a little green plus, then you need to do what we did when we were committing everything to source control. Just make the right click, mark for add, and you should be good. Yeah, I'm not concerned about the stuff in these maps, because we're not using the maps, right? We have our own test map. So not too concerned about this stuff. But it's more the other stuff in the content folder, because we want to make sure we're all backed up in case we accidentally screw something up. Just good to do this every once in a while, especially because we've been adding a ton of stuff to Perforce recently. So yeah, just keep going through and making sure that everything is in here. And again, just make a new change list for yourself. I was going to do that when I saw something that wasn't added, but surprisingly, everything is added for me. I assumed I'd be missing a few things with all the errors like this that we've seen, but it seems like our plugins are doing a good job to add everything to Perforce. Okay, more green checks. Looking good. That one took a second to load. I thought we were missing something. Yeah, but see how many files we have in here? It's pretty crazy. It's mainly the asset packs are really big. So keep going. Yeah, and don't worry about doing exactly what I'm doing. Just go folder by folder in content. And anything that isn't like a test map that we saw earlier, just make sure you mark it for add. so that we can make sure everything's in here. And I think we're pretty much at the end here. And sorry if I'm going through this part really quickly for those of you following along, but I don't want to be here all day just clicking through Perforce. Exactly what I said though, just make sure everything in the content folder has the green check next to it, and you should be fine. I'm interested to see if other people have good experiences with the plugins, because all this should be added automatically by that plugin in Unreal Engine. Well, I guess it isn't a plugin. It's just the source control settings. But that all should be working, and you should have all this stuff already added. If not, definitely let me know in the comments. And then we just have to check we don't want derived data cache. We just want to check the non-engine content and make sure we have everything. Yeah, so we're looking pretty good. I think we have everything. I'd be shocked if we were missing one of these code files, but I'll check just in case. And just make sure everything's added, even if like your build.cs or something isn't added. Just make sure you're adding it. Obviously not the binaries and intermediate or derived data cache. You don't want to add any of that, but anything in this source folder other than that, it's good to add it. Yeah, don't worry about saved. Alright, so we're pretty much good. Yeah, and we don't care about the samples. If it's in there, fine. If not, I don't really care. Alright, we can close all this up so we can actually see our source control the next time we go in here. It's the only problem with expanding all these folders. You have to close them back down. There probably is a close down everything hotkey somewhere, but I don't know it. Alright, so we can call that done, and if you had some files, remember to check them in that change set that you made. And now we can get to the actual task. So the change set name will be crouch blend space HSS. And the first thing we're going to do is check out these files that we're going to need. So we have our calculations file that we've been using. And then we have the blend files, the one and the normal. The one is just a backup, but it's good to have both of them. Make sure that saving works okay. Alright, so now we'll go into our D drive, non-engine content, animation, calculations, and open that up. And you'll see I have 4 new rows that you don't have, and those are the animations we're going to be making. Alright, so we'll open up the blend file. And I'm going to make a little mistake here. So this is where you want to duplicate it and make idle crouch. But I just edit right on the placement frame. And it's no big deal. It's very easy to fix. But just a heads up. Alright, so here you should be on your idle crouch animation, not placement frame. And we'll go to 201. And we just want to move everything what the chart says. So 0.0075 GX, then GZ 0.0075, and then RZ 0.75, and RX 0.75. And then I, location, rotation. And then we want to duplicate that first keyframe. And we'll bring it to 401. In this, we have to move to 201. I made a mistake right when I started. At least I caught it. And then there's our idle animation. And for crouching, we want there to be a little bit less movement, because obviously our character is going to be moving a lot slower. So they'll be quieter as well, which would correlate to less movement. Alright, so we'll add our keyframe at 400, so we can delete the one at 401. And now we're ready to export. But this is where I realized that I did everything in the placement frame. And this is how you fix it. You duplicate, then you make your idle crouch. And then now I'm going to go back to placement frame after I export. So just use that same Mr. Mannequin export that we've been using and throw it right in export from Blender. Okay. And it should all work. But now we need to fix up our placement frame before we forget. So it's that simple, just delete those two and save. And now we can move on to the next one, which will be crouch forward. And we'll create a new action from our placement frame. And I'm just checking to see what the name is. So crouch forward. And we have a frame difference of 45. So we want to go to frame 46. And we're moving 0.015 is the factor. So we'll take care of that now. So go back into pose mode. Select our wrists. GX 0.015. GZ 0.015. RX 1.5. RZ 1.5. Then we press I, insert keyframe, location rotation. And then we can duplicate the one at the start. Bring it to 91. Set our test window to 90 so we can see it. Then we can press play and see what it looks like. So see a nice little crouch walk, kind of like we're sneaking around, which is how it's going to function in the game. And then we can export. Okay, good. And make sure you're saving over and over again. You don't want to lose all your work if it does crash. Okay, and we forgot to insert our keyframe at 90, so we do that, delete the one at 91. and export again. And it'll just automatically overwrite the last one if you do that. So be aware of that. And we'll go back and make a new copy. And now we'll do crouch left. And this one will also be at 46. So we'll go there. Okay, and this one is double to the X. So GX 0.03, GZ 0.015, RX 1.5, RZ 3. Then we'll add our keyframe, duplicate the start, bring it to 91, and give it a test. So see, that one looks more like we're walking left than the forward one. That's all it's about, just making it look to the player like they're moving to the left. Doesn't have to be perfect. And we'll add a keyframe at 90. So now we're ready for export. So we'll take care of that. Alright, so we'll go back to placement frame, make a new one. This will be crouch right. This is the one with the negative values. So we'll go right to 46. Yeah, see, this is the negatives. So GX negative 0.03. Then we go GZ 0.015. RX 1.5. And then RZ negative 3. Add our keyframe. Okay, we duplicate that, bring it to 91. We'll test it out. Yeah, that's definitely moving to the right, so that's good. Look at the contrast there. That's exactly what we're looking for. Cool. So now we can export this after putting in our keyframe at 90. Okay, so we export. Press OK. And then we're just going to make sure they're all in here. So we can close down Blender. And this is definitely something Perforce isn't going to add. So you'll have to mark these for add manually. Just like that. And then now we can actually open up Hide, Seek, Survive and import these. We can also close down the calculations because we won't be needing those anymore. And now we can go into the content drawer. And we're going to reorganize our animations here a bit. I was a little sloppy initially. So for now, we're just going to import them into here using the import tool this time instead of just dragging them in. I know I said earlier in a previous video that you're better off just dragging them in. Apparently, the import tool works a little better in terms of the version control stuff. So I'm going to start doing that. And make sure you pick the right UE4 skeleton, because remember, we have 2 of them now. And we want the one in characters. Alright, we save that. Then we can go over to retargeting and click on that retargeting asset that we made last time. And now we have to start retargeting our animations. So search for crouch walk. And we'll make this a little bigger. And we basically want to retarget these 4. And we should be all set. So I'll go into upper body. And then into lower body. And see, here's where I'm going to make some new folders to better organize things a little bit. So we'll make one called walk, then idle, and we'll throw our idle in there, and throw our walk animations in there. And when it pops up and asks if you want to check something out, just say yes. And we'll make a crouch folder. So now we're ready to retarget. But we'll do the same thing for upper body, just for consistency. So idle, walk, and crouch. Okay, so we'll throw our crouch in there. Throw our idle in there. Placement frame, we'll just put with the idle. Seems like a good place for it. Yeah, and see, this is where I start having some issues. It definitely doesn't like moving a whole bunch of files around like this. So yeah, once you start getting issues like that, you really just have to close down Unreal and reopen it. If you try to fight through, then things are going to get screwed up. So yeah, just close all these down. And then we'll reopen it, and it should be fine. But just try not to do anything destructive, like renaming files or deleting files when it's in that state. Alright, so now we'll drag them into walk. And now it's happy. So that's good. And now we'll start retargeting. So same thing, just search for crouch iron sight. And we want those 4. And we'll export them to lower body, crouch. So that's why we made those folders. Now that we're adding more animations, that folder is going to get very busy. So it's good to group them up a little bit. And then now we can have our crouch idle rifle iron sights. And we can export that. Okay, so that's all retargeted. And that seems like a good natural stopping point for part 1. And I know this is a little shorter than usual, but don't worry, the next one is going to be well over 40 minutes. Just didn't make sense shoving all this into one video. But anyways, next time we're going to get into lots of stuff within Unreal, tweaking the animations. We need to put sync markers in, which basically helps the blend space look more natural while it's blending between animations. And then we need to fix the issue where none of the characters are looking straight ahead. And I'll show you guys how to do that in the next one as well. So with all that being said, thank you for watching. I hope these videos are bringing you guys value. And if they are, definitely leave a comment letting me know. And subscribe to the channel to keep up with the series as we move forward. We're making some really good progress, which is good to see. And we're actually getting to the point where we're almost done with the player character. And we're going to be able to start getting into the actual game of Hide, Seek, Survive. So that's pretty cool. So yeah, as always, thank you so much for watching. And I'll see you in the next one. Later.